Hey everyone, it's Pam, and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of August. Starting out with updates, there really aren't any updates for August. I didn't think I did any podcast or anything like that. It was just sort of enjoying the summer. Will convinced me to play World of Warcraft Classic with him, so...
Hello darkness, my old friend.
That's what I've mostly been doing for the last week or so. Warcraft is a strange game. I played it for about 9 years, stopped playing in Mists of Pandaria, said I'd never go back, but here I am, playing again, trying to level to 60 so I can get into Molten Core at the beginning of October. It's a whole thing. We'll skip talking about that. Maybe I'll talk about it a bit more next month after I've, played it for more than a week or so. So let's get into shoutouts. So my shout out for this month is Displaced Gamers. It's a channel that focuses on retro gaming as well as tech, and he's got a few particular series that I really enjoy. One is called Facets of the Gem, where he takes a rather well-known, well-loved game, and rather than just do sort of your typical review on it, really hones in on a couple facets of the game and what makes that game special. So he's covered very popular things like Super Mario Bros. 3, Metroid, A Link to the Past, one of my favorites, The Guardian Legend. That's a great series that you can check out. There's also a lot of good discussion on the channel. He welcomes people to discuss in comments. Recently, he asked, do gamers care about sound preservation? A lot of people care about actual game preservation, but when it comes to sounds and the sound you get on original hardware versus what is emulated, questions like that. There's also been questions like how important is difficulty to you? Really interesting things. The videos are very well scripted and very well edited, so you should check out Displaced Gamers. So for pickups in August, I only got a few things, but they are very good things. The first thing is the Cuphead soundtrack on vinyl. I ordered this what feels like ages ago. I think it was maybe in the spring, and it just shipped out in August. It is a 2-disc set. It's not the full soundtrack because the full soundtrack is actually for vinyl. That was sold out. It was sold a little while ago. It's from I Am 8-Bit. But yes, I'm very excited to have this. Cuphead is a fantastic game, sort of one of the best run and gun shoot 'em ups I've played, although I much prefer the shoot 'em up levels to the run and gun. It's got these great little slip covers for it, and yeah, super happy to have this in the collection, and I think I'll be making a vinyl collection, a vinyl video game soundtrack collection video later this month if I get around to it. The second thing is a new game that I was really looking forward to, and that is Control. This is by Remedy, who made games like Alan Wake, which I'm a big fan of, as well as Quantum Break, which I was a little less of a fan of, but I still enjoyed it. I have been playing Control. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I haven't finished it yet because of stupid Warcraft, but I will talk about it more next month when I have had a chance to finish it. Overall, though, greatly enjoying it so far. And Lily is scratching her head right beside the camera. That's fun. Thanks, Lily. The last thing... I know. The last one is a big one. I picked up Fire Emblem 3 Houses last month, and because of how I enjoyed that, I decided maybe I should dip back into JRPGs. Maybe I'm at a time in my life where I can appreciate them again, and one that many people talk about as being one of the best of all time is Suikoden 2. So Will actually bought this for me as a little present, which was very, very nice of him. I'm looking forward to playing this. I know you can sort of recruit a very large party, and there's lots of characters to get to know and interesting combat, so as soon as I have another chunk of time on my hands, I will get into this one. So onto what I've been playing. As I mentioned, I finished Fire Emblem Three Houses, and overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a very pleasant surprise for me since, as I mentioned, I hadn't really been enjoying JRPGs. I don't love the sort of anime art style. It did take a little getting used to. I find a lot of the characters are a little sort of vacant looking. Like if you look at the guys here on the back, they're a little, I don't know, they just look empty. But as soon as I got past that and got to know the characters a little, I really got into the game. It's got a great gameplay loop where it's on a monthly schedule, and at the end of each month there's this big event, which is a big battle that happens and progresses the story forward. But before that, it's a weekly schedule where you teach your class in order to increase their skills during the week. You can also choose to explore the monastery where you live and teach in order to get to know people better, get your support levels up, do fishing or gardening, things that you like, return lost items to people. You can do some extra battles if you want, some of which are character story related, or you can rest, or you can do a seminar, which also increases people's skills in certain areas. Really fun. The characters were definitely the best part of it for me. I chose Golden Deer House, so Claude was sort of the head of the house, and I really got to know the characters. There was some that I started out not really liking, like Hilda. She was very lazy, she was always very down on herself, which kind of bothers me. There's actually a lot of female characters in the game where they're just like, oh, I'm just so useless and weak, and it's just, you know, annoying. But eventually you dig into their story, you get to know exactly what is behind all that. And I loved Raphael, who is just like this big hulking man who all he wants to do is eat and train in order to get bigger muscles. Marianne was very cute, and I really liked her a lot. Dorothea, who was like a opera singer, was very engaging. She's actually the person I ended up with at the end of the game, since there is a little bit of a romance element to it. I am planning to do a podcast about Fire Emblem Three Houses with some friends, so I'm going to go more into it then, whenever that takes place. I have to say, though, that the pacing sort of falls off towards the end of the game. There's a 2-act structure, and the whole first act was fantastic, but the second act has the same structure, but there's just not enough going on from week to week to really keep your interest. As you go around the monastery, there's just not that much to do. There's less characters around for story reasons. You've already got your support relationships up, so I felt like they could have expedited things towards the end of the game in order to keep the pacing engaging, but I did really enjoy the story of it. Everyone in it is kind of a revolutionary, and they have their own ways of thinking about how their kingdom should be run, and they all want something different, which is neat. But yeah, I'm glad I played it. I'm glad it sort of opened me up to Japanese role-playing games again. So in August, there were 2 other games that I was really looking forward to that were finally released. One was Slay the Spire, which just came out was just made available on Xbox One. It's been out for years, it feels like, but it was on early access on Steam for a very, very long time, and I refused to play games on early access. Then I think it went to Switch, but I didn't want to play it there. So finally, it came onto Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, oh yeah, a card building game, like a dungeon delving RPG-ish thing, that sounds awesome. I started playing it, and I didn't like it at all. I found it very dull. I found the art style was not aesthetically appealing. I found it very quiet when you're doing battle, and yeah, it's very much kind of like a roguelike, so you go in, and if you don't make it far enough, you just have to start again, and that's really not what I like in a game. So I actually ended up dropping Slay the Spire fairly quickly. Luckily it was on Game Pass, so it didn't cost me any money. The second thing that I was really looking forward to in August is the game Telling Lies, which is the follow-up to Her Story by Sam Barlow. I made a video on Her Story a number of years ago. It got very few views, but I really loved her story. It's an FMV game, and it all takes place as video recordings of a police interview. So Telling Lies really expands the scope of it while using the same mechanics. You're basically at a computer going through all this video footage, and all the footage is of Skype or some equivalent calls that people are having. And there's a number of characters that you're seeing. So you watch a video, you hear some sort of key phrases or names, and then you search for that name or phrase, and it will bring up a new set of videos that will sort of unveil more of the story to you. So I did like the concept of it. I did like that they tried to make her story but bigger with more characters. The actors all did a very good job. The writing was pretty good, but I just found that mechanically there was a problem. Because you were watching Skype conversations, you were only seeing one side of them. So every video, and the videos were long, like in her story they were maybe a minute long. In Telling Lies they can be 8-9 minutes long. And half the video, since it's a conversation, is just the person sitting, staring at the camera, listening to the other person talk, and you can't hear the other person, which makes it just very long and very dull. I found the whole thing tested my patience a lot. Yeah, so I was sort of disappointed with how that worked. It also, when you find a video, it takes you right to the word that you searched for in the video, so that could be 4 minutes into the video, and then you have to sit there and rewind it to the beginning, which is very slow. And yeah, it's just, they need to just pick up the pace a little, make the interface a little more friendly, make it easier to skip past the silence part of the videos in order to make it something that I'd really enjoy. So yeah, unfortunately was a little disappointed by those two games. However, another pleasant surprise was Void Bastards, which also is on Game Pass. I feel like I say Game Pass so much, I think they should sponsor me, call me Microsoft. And Void Bastards is a semi-roguelike first-person shooter. You are I don't know if you're a prisoner? I think you're a prisoner, and you're trying to sort of gain citizenship in this very dystopian spacefaring world. And as you go, you need to build certain objects which require items. So you're basically in a ship jumping from, not planet, but from like space station to space station, or jumping to other ships, trying to find the things that you need. As you go through them, there's lots of enemies that you can fight or run away from, items to collect. You have to craft a number of things, like you can craft new weapons, you can craft things that will give you more health, more armor, stuff like that. I actually really liked the crafting system. It's got this very cool art style. It sort of uses a very minimal color palette, and it's got a very sort of British sense of humor. You've got this robot who's basically narrating to you and talking your way through the game. And it's very dark, like it's a very sort of bleak, darkly comedic game, but I really liked it. It is roguelike, but you keep all of your stuff, so you just have to start again with a new prisoner when you die on one of them. So it's not like you have to go all the way back to the beginning, or you lose your progress. You just lose a little bit of stuff every time you die, which is, again, much more appealing to me than having to go all the way back. So Void Bastards is good if you like that kind of game, like a good crafting system and some humor in your games. I recommend that one. So I guess that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments how your August was, if you got any cool pickups or played any games you want to recommend to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hello? Oh, hi. What are you doing? You sneaking? You sneaking on me?